For 10 years after the First World War, as today, there was a great demand for our products all over the world. This scramble for world markets resulted in some pretty short-sighted thinking. For instance, some people reasoned that all we had to do was to get our products onto ships bound for foreign ports, and prosperity was guaranteed. They forgot that a lot of this business was done on credit. We wanted our pay in dollars, and the only way the other fellow could get dollars was to sell us something or to send us gold. From our point of view, everything was rosy. But from the other fellow's point of view, things looked entirely different.
Villain for all seasons. I'm Dan.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ben.
Guys, we're on episode 35. Can you believe that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost our golden episode.
Yeah, so close.
Oh my God, the memes have been so good this week. Meme report.
It's
10
been
out of 10.
great. Yeah, meme watch. Yeah, that's been good. Twitter's been very strange, just in general, but it always is. But it's like I really feel like I can't tell if all these MAGA influencers are actually like psyops trolling MAGA or something at this point. Because
I can't tell if they're true believers or if like they're getting paid or if they're like embarrassed. They're so embarrassed that they're like, I never liked money.
yeah,
Never liked, I didn't even want it. It's so I do a little of my own little market research by ranting and raving to my MAGA friends, of which I'm down to like one by now because of all my ranting and raving. And
yeah,
the argument was interesting because I'm like, so what's the goal here? And of course it's like just fucking fair trade, man. We just want like a fair shake at this. I'm like, okay, well, like what does that look like? Like, do we want like their tariffs to go down, bring manufacturing back? Like what's the idea? And he's like, dude, I'm just enjoying the freedom here. Okay. And I'm like, it's like that level of I'm like, okay, well, we're not gonna get anywhere, so I'll just
I
keep
think I
razzing you and
mean
you razz me.
that is it though. It's a good vibe.
It is vibes. Yeah, we've said that here
Let them
before. Yeah.
let them vibe, you know? It's like we should all just leave them alone and let them have their fun.
Yeah. It does deeply piss me off though that they probably when shit hits the fan, they'll be like, "Oh, fucking Democrats." That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, probably like the Democrats will have had a part in it, but I
Yeah,
want
I
you to know
mean,
your actions have consequences. My sense of
yeah.
justice.
Obviously where we're at, with America not having any sort of manufacturing on the level that people would like it to. This has been a steady downward slope for
Yeah.
75 years or whatever. So Trump is just doing this, as he always does, like this accelerated version of trying to fix it, which obviously wouldn't work. I mean, you'd probably have to have another 75 years of building it back up incrementally. The thing that bothers me about this tariffs thing is like, I don't understand it that well. I don't think anybody does. And I've been trying to wrap my head around it, to educate myself on it. But everyone is so fucking dumb about it. And the more I listen to people who don't know anything about it, which is most people, the dumber I get on it too. So I'm just in this
Yeah.
cycle of like, I'll learn something and then some MAGA person will be like, actually, that's not true. It's this. And I'm like, it like short circuits something in my head and
Well,
back to
it's
square one.
yeah, like what is that technically like macroeconomics? Like the trade
It,
stuff
it,
or
it doesn't
what? All
matter.
right,
It
yeah.
doesn't.
Well, okay. Let's make it really simple because it can be as simple as you want or it can be as fucking complicated as you want, you know? You could drill down in like the nitty-gritty of like how much we import versus to our GDP, blah blah blah,
Yeah, I
Vietnam, how
mean
much they're
that part is pretty simple. I mean,
yeah.
all of it's more simple. I mean, but then you get into if you disprove that, then somebody will bring up VAT or some other thing they don't
Oh yeah.
understand. And
That's one I have a loose understanding of because we don't really have anything like it. But VAT tax is
Mhm.
essentially like if you added value to something and then you then pass it on to the next step in like manufacturing. There's like
Yeah.
a transactional sort of like a sales tax, but like a business sales tax or something. So it's like taxed along
Hmm.
the way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds
Which like
that sounds
sure.
nice. I haven't heard anyone make that argument yet.
I just want people to stop making me learn economics.
I actually like it.
I didn't do it in college, and I don't want to do it now.
I keep seeing that Jackson Pollock was actually like a CIA op on like how to transfer money.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Eh, Kind of. This is who paid the piper, Dan,
Well,
which
yeah, but I
is,
didn't know he was like a basically money laundering.
I don't think he knew
That.
about it, maybe. I think they just maybe used him.
I think for that one, the wires are getting crossed a little bit with conspiracies. So there is a wonderful book that I've not finished yet, but Dan, you've read it too. Who Paid the Piper by Francis
Uh,
Stoner Saunders, which is about how the CIA basically funneled money to fund the Cultural Cold War. So back during the Cold War, they set up the National Congress for Freedom,
The
or
National Congress for Arts Freedom or something like
well,
that. Yeah, it's
Congress for Cultural Freedom.
yeah.
Congress for Cultural Freedom. Yeah, that's it. So, yes, this was a real op that got together lots of writers, intellectuals, and then was also funding certain arts movements coming out of the West, specifically the United States, basically to combat the Soviets.
Soviet
Because,
realism, yeah.
yeah, Soviet
Ah.
realism, which was clearly propagandistic.
Controversy is to believe that the American artists like Jackson Pollock were not propagandistic, or
Well, this
rather that they
is
weren't being funded by the state.
yeah, well, this is where those memes going around right now about Jackson Pollock are misleading, as they kind of make it sound like Pollock was like an agent of the
Like a
CIA.
useful idiot, yeah.
Well, or even a no, yeah,
A knowing, a witting.
A
witting or
witting
unwitting,
idiot.
yeah. Like he was a creation of the CIA. That's not true, as far as we know. But basically, it was pumping tons of money into promoting Western democratic art as a way of owning the Soviets. So
Yeah.
that's where they started. That like there was money that was put into like Louis Armstrong going and touring around the world to combat the Soviet line of how racist and
Ah.
segregation in the United States, and say that, oh no, we actually support black artists,
Yeah, prove
and
them wrong.
trying to basically show that the United States had more artistic freedom than what the Soviets did, which I guess nominally it did.
So what's the why Pollock? They're like, we're just so fucking creative and expressive that we're just forming new versions of art.
I mean, Pollock's just the
Like,
easy target, because he's such like
Okay.
I know, but
the
like abstract
postmodern.
expressionism to begin
Yeah.
with, like, is that like a
Abstract ex
symbol of something like that the Russians couldn't even comprehend? Like,
Well, I think it's just that abstract expressionism was the polar opposite of what you would see from Soviet realism,
oh, okay.
which in comparison would seem very rigid and rules-based, whereas something like Pollock, which in my uneducated opinion on art sucks. I don't like Jackson Pollock. I think his paintings are stupid. I do like Rothko, but yeah, it was showing that oh, like look how much freedom there is in the West. You can
Yeah,
do whatever you want. You don't have to
yeah,
adhere to these, to this style that specifically exists to exalt and prop up the state and the Soviet project.
yeah. I guess
Now,
theoretically
the
it is kind
thing
of like a
with
unbound. Blah, here's emotion, raw emotion.
The thing with money laundering, and I don't know a ton on this, but I do know that that is a pretty well-known thing going on even to this day, that a lot of fine art being
Oh yeah,
produced is basically money laundering operations of how can you put your money into assets. So like, oh, there's tons and tons
Hunter
like
of
tape
Biden.
modern art that gets,
taped the
yeah.
banana, Hunter Biden.
I mean, Hunter Biden is absolutely a perfect example of that. A
So
lot
says
of
Ryan
times I
Grimm.
think it's yeah,
Ryan
a
Grimm
lot of
mentioned it
times
in the
it's
interview.
you pay what, $500,000 for some stupid painting that Hunter Biden made, and you can expect there's going to be some favors. I think a lot of it also is just like people from the UAE or Saudi Arabia want somewhere to put their money and some sort of asset. So they buy up these paintings, and then these paintings are worth whatever they paid, and then they get to sit in a vault in Switzerland.
This is also like the premise of NFTs, right? And
Mm.
NFTs on like the blockchain or whatever, it's just like a great way to funnel money, like hold
Hmm.
value, but they don't
Yeah,
actually have no value.
Joe made a comment very similar to Trump's coin, the shit coin, as they call them.
Hmm.
Another dynamic of who paid the piper, and it's called the cultural Cold War in the United States,
Hmm.
is that for the Congress of Cultural Freedom, a lot of the funding came from these, I guess, financial scions in New York, right? These very
Yeah.
rich families in New York that were actually, the CIA was funneling money to them as a cutout. And so
Hmm.
the story of the book, the underlying narrative is how a lot of these, wealthy people and families were very on board initially. And then after I believe it's the Rampart scandal, there's a bunch of scandals that happen.
Hmm.
A lot of support falls apart. It's like a magisterial telling of history. I think Saunders is she's kind of a dry writer, if I'm honest with you, but she's very, very good at presenting I guess, like the historical narrative. I got into it. She did a lecture, and if you don't want to read the book, the lecture is also really good. So she gets confronted during it because yeah, you have like a bunch of art snobs there. She handles it well. It's good. Yeah, that book was life-changing.
Yeah. Yeah. She angered the Pollock crowd.
Yeah. It's
Whatever.
like,
Fuck Jackson Pollock.
for example,
This
like,
shit's stupid. I'm Team
More
Rothko.
like Pollock.
you've obviously heard of
Cut that.
It's
Nabokov.
cultural appropriation.
You obviously know who Nabokov is. Like
Yeah.
his cousin is, I believe, one of the facilitators of some of the cutouts to the.
Yeah, he was. He was a
Yeah.
big because he was like a composer or something.
Hmm.
And then yeah, he was a big part of the Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I missed the conversation on memes. I've only seen the ones that I've been seeing are the Americans working in factories.
It's so funny. Yeah, those were good ones. I mean, obviously, just all like the Schadenfreude, like, oh, look, you capitalists who only care about money are losing your money. Like, just showing like the big red like stock tickers crashing. I derive pleasure in that, but also it's just kind of like it'll bounce back. Like, it's not thing will perpetually go upward eventually. Like, these are really just short-term failures. Also, like the stock market doesn't, it's not the economy. I'm more worried about like the actual structural things that might change more permanently.
What is the Mar-a-Lago theory? We
Oh,
need Casey
okay.
Gain on right now.
The Mar-a-Lago Accord theory, I think it's just the Accord, is that we're intentionally crashing the dollar, the value of the dollar. So when it comes time to refinance in like 6 months, refinance our debt, the dollar like interest rates will be lower and saving the country money. So the idea is like they're going to try to devalue the dollar so that we can pay off the debt more easily.
Is that
So
like the country filing for bankruptcy then?
No, it wouldn't. It's because we pay for everything through issuing bonds to other countries, and those bonds have like an interest rate that's like essentially those bonds determine the interest rates at all the banks. So like when they
Hmm.
say, all right, these we're going to raise interest rates, lower interest rates, my understanding is they're really doing that to bonds, and those bonds are backing for like every loan that we have in the country. So if those uh bond interest rates, I don't know. This is like above my head, but something to do with bonds, something to do with interest rates. They want to devalue the dollar because essentially the exchange rate to pay back these other countries would be better.
Well, I think most presidents advocate for a weaker dollar, right? Because to your point, it, if it, and again, I don't really understand this, but if it's weaker, it's more, there's more of an incentive to trade in the dollar.
So it's yeah, a weaker dollar, what does that mean? I mean, it's just the since we're not based on gold anymore, it's literally just relative to other currencies. So like the exchange rate, I was gonna make a joke about it when you were saying that they're going to give you like 600 euros for your ticket. I'm like,
Mhm.
you should wait till the dollar crashes because you'll get more dollars for each euro,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Well, exactly. So
Um,
like if I have 600 euros, it's going to result in more US dollars when I transfer it, right?
yeah, it would theoretically make American goods cheaper abroad. And
Yeah.
if that happens, then people would want to buy our stuff. But
It all
it
goes
it
back to
is
the Americans and factories memes, baby.
it
Manufacturing
kind of
back.
yeah, there's just so many factors to all of this. It melts my brain very quickly.
We're gonna beat
Um,
China at their own game.
yeah, I don't think we are.
Listen,
But I mean, it's
the
great
main thing
because
is,
also they can
guys,
destroy labor laws, right?
yep, child
Like,
labor back.
oh yeah, dude, we're
You,
working on
Back.
getting rid of child labor. Yeah,
you,
Arkansas.
unions gone. I mean, the main thing is, guys, you don't want to be a panican,
Yeah.
I got
which
called a Panican today.
which I keep reading as pelican. I just keep thinking
So
of
do I.
some sort of water bird.
Dope. Waterbird bad.
Wait,
Uh, but I think
so
is it panicked American or is it panicked Republican? Because I thought it was an attack on like I thought that was the new like Rhino, like Republicans who are starting to flip on Trump.
That hasn't been clear. They haven't given enough context to it. I mean, it really felt like a because I sent it to you guys last night. I was just scrolling the Twitter, and all of a sudden I saw like a barrage of tweets from like Marjorie Taylor Greene and libs of TikTok and
Hmm.
all the people that I follow. Um, just
You just have
throwing
the
out
most
panic
hate-filled
and
tick or you have the most hate-filled Twitter feed, dude.
it's it's rough. I don't follow anyone I like.
Yeah.
Uh, And yeah, they and well, Trump started it and just threw out Panican, and I mean, it's an ultimate example of him feeling himself a little too much. Of like, yeah, everyone's going to be on board of this. Um, this is true dictator behavior now that he's just throwing out Panican. He's like, yeah, this is a thing that's going to stick. So
I
whether it's
want
a
to.
panicked American or a panicked Republican
So,
or a panicked Mexican, I don't know.
Or a waterbird.
The point is, the point is, I think, to what we were saying before we started, Andrew, the main MAGA argument against anybody worried about the stock market right now is that being worried about the stock market is gay
Yeah.
and a bitch move.
Yeah, dude,
And
you're a
basically,
bitch.
they're basically saying that if you're worried about this, you're gay for the stock market, and you should stop being a bitch. Is basically the argument I'm hearing.
yeah, I saw that Carolyn Levitt, his press secretary, said that Trump has a spine of steel.
Nice.
He does.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I guess.
I love like when people try to kind of like rework idioms.
Yeah.
Like a weak spine, spine of steel.
Spine of Steel.
I
You don't
like
want a spine of steel.
He's
no.
literally a
You need it. You need the
T9000.
flexibility, man. Like
Exactly.
uh
The
The
exoskeleton.
rod.
wait. Sleeping must be terrible.
Trump, aka the Rod.
But yeah, this is the argument that I'm seeing from everybody. Like, I don't know if you guys saw like Dave Portnoy talking about it, and he's
He
like,
called it Orange Monday.
Yeah, I like that
yeah,
term actually.
I just saw a thing of him talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I just lost, a fifth of my portfolio. Like people are losing their retirements, but like for Dave Portnoy, like, obviously he's got a lot of money, but he's there with a straight face being like, I just lost $20 million. I'm
Yeah.
not happy about it. This isn't what I want. But like basically being like, you don't throw in the towel in the 10th, in the seventh round. You gotta keep going. Like, and not putting any positive spin on it. That's mostly what I've seen is just like, hey, look, we can't be bitches. We gotta stick with this no matter what.
Can't vote him out. I mean, we got to do this for 4 years. That's what it is.
I want to go back
Mhm.
to the Mar-a-Lago Accord. I just don't know if this is the first time I'm hearing about it, so I don't know if this actually happened, or is this just speculation?
No, it actually happened. It's like a theory from his advisors. The Mar-a-Lago Accord is a proposed economic strategy developed by President Donald Trump's second, developed during President Trump's second term, aiming at restructuring global trade, monetary relations to favor the United States. Named after Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, the plan seeks to reduce the U.S. trade deficits, revive domestic manufacturing, realign international economic relationships through a combination of tariffs, currency measures, and security linked agreements. I mean, that's all very obvious that they're doing that so far. That's kind of it's definitely what they're doing.
I
Uh, the Accord draws inspiration from historic agreements like the 1985 Trump Tower and Casino, and no, I'm just kidding. uh, Trump Plaza Accord, or sorry, 1985 Plaza Accord, which involved coordinated effort to adjust currency values among major economies.
I I am reading off
Like,
something very similar, and I just want to kind of echo what you're saying here. Under the rationale, it says, in Trump's opinion, the main reason for the demise of the American dream is an artificially strong dollar, which has led to the dismantling of U.S. manufacturing and the loss of well-paying blue-collar jobs. The strong dollar is a result of its status as reserve currency, which amplifies investment into the United States. With local manufacturing uncompetitive, the U.S. is then forced to increase imports, leaving it dependent on foreign countries for a number of goods. With other countries, China for instance, unfairly supporting their manufacturing sectors, the problem is amplified. Connected to this problem is also the U.S. role of global police, leaving it with a large military cost burden, which again leads to public deficits and debts, easily financed because of the dollar's reserve status. I
well,
think
then
this,
why
this
don't
goes back
we
to
help
something
our
I think
manufacturing?
about.
If we find it so important, why don't we spend money on our manufacturing? Why don't we do what China's doing to their, you know? Well, that would require us like actually putting reinvesting into America.
Yeah, which we're not doing, by the way. Like that's the thing I is crazy about this. It's like you're putting up all of the, isn't the balancing act supposed to be you're supposed to incentivize the capitalists to bring their business and their factories to the United States? Like, isn't there, don't you need some sort of kickback or some sort of cuts that would make
Yeah.
people want to do that?
It has to be
That's not
carrot and
happening.
stick. There needs to be some sort of incentive
Yeah,
internally and then punishment for leaving, which is like the tariffs, you know?
yeah,
But he's not even fucking doing tariffs right. Like, I don't know if you guys read too much into it, but like the way that they came in with these numbers, it's
yeah,
he's tariffing to adjust for the trade imbalance.
It's literally me doing math.
It doesn't,
It's
yeah,
really
like it
bad.
doesn't make sense.
Well, and
It's
they
like me
literally,
doing math.
It,
well, they
I'm
literally
lucky I
did
graduated
what,
high school.
yeah, they're literally doing what I do when I'm like applying for a job, which I just put it into ChatGPT and then it makes me a cover letter. They
I
Yeah,
did that only for
GPT
the
is good at
tariff
that.
plan.
I this goes back to something that I feel confident talking about. I don't feel confident talking about totally. I don't totally feel confident talking about tariffs, but something I think about a lot is I think Democrats and liberals really want to have it both ways. They want to think that Trump is a mad genius, right? Or not a mad genius, but just mad, just insane, right? But then also an idiot, right? And this again
Hmm.
goes back to something I talk about a lot as well, which is like, what is the ideological counterpoint here? Like, I just don't like. Clearly, there's a manufacturing. There's been a loss of jobs probably since I guess the 90s, if you want to talk about like offshoring, and you're having this loss of blue collar jobs, right? And I don't know where Democrats come in here and say like, well, like that's actually a problem and we need to have a solution. Instead, we end up getting the Trump solution, which is it seems like the worst of all worlds.
Even if you wanted to do what like his stated goals are, the way he did it, I think, is just like indisputably dumb. Like he didn't roll it out. He didn't have like select partners on this and single out one country. Like if he could have just targeted China and be like, all right, us, the EU, we're gonna put maximum pressure on China to fix all these inequities like
Yeah.
stealing IP and, you know, making it more because I guess they like steal IP and then make knockoffs
I mean,
essentially.
if you
And
believe in like that patents shouldn't be shared.
that's a whole other
Yeah.
thing. Like uh, we do in America, like we definitely think patents, you know, are belong to the companies that develop them,
Hmm.
especially vaccines. Um,
Life-saving drugs. Yes.
life-saving drugs, for
Yeah.
Yeah.
example. But if you so now I don't know, and just on that note, like I don't know if you saw, but like China's like, all right, fuck it. There's no penalties for stealing patents now. Like they like kind of opened that up.
There was ever.
I mean, you know, on
Yeah.
paper. Um, but crap, how did that whole thing start? Oh, just how he is doing it is so dumb. He's doing it to our allies, to our enemies. There's no carve outs except for like oil,
Hmm.
because of the lobbyists, of course. Um, so even if you and then also he has two goals, right? It's like to bring back manufacturing to America. Everyone can get on board with that. Sounds correct. Sounds like something that actually is important for national security, which is why I think the CHIPS Act was actually a really good thing. They're building a huge like IBM plant, chip making plant on the east side of Columbus. That's a real world thing. That's like developing uh, a city, like a huge portion of it, bringing jobs in. Um, or do you want to like fix this trade imbalance, and we can start getting things cheaper? But you can't have both. You can't make things here and lower the prices of everything coming in,
Yeah, I think
you know?
it's going to be such a schism because if you I guess the thinking is if it's made in America and you have clearly the cost is going to be higher, right? But you will end up paying your workers higher, and thus you will, because they are paid higher, they will be able to afford U.S. manufactured items, right?
Yeah. But there's some things that we don't even manufacture, like we'll never be able to manufacture. Like the lumber that we need from Canada to build houses, like they have older, harder trees. They've got longer, harder trees. So we need their long, hard trees. Um, and like we have some in the Pacific Northwest, but like our so that would just, you know, and now it's already really expensive to build new houses, but now it's going to be extremely expensive. And we have a housing supply shortage. So there's that. It we need those trees. Just like have a carve out for that because you're going to make everything on the economy way harder.
I mean, I think that's the point, right? I think that's what he wants to do. So he's going about it in such a
But
haphazard
that's
way, with the point being that, oh, because everyone is so dependent on America and they are dependent on America's market rather, they are going
yeah.
to immediately rush to make a deal. And I mean, he pointed to South Korea today.
I do agree that we should be using our economy or access to our economy as a soft power tool.
Hmm.
I think that the way he's doing it is going to make it so that the world realigns and it's like we can't we can't do business with America. They're not like trustworthy. They're not consistent. They are going to pull the rug out on these deals. Um, and so we're just not going to be like the center of the world anymore, for better or worse. I don't know. I live here. I mean, I reap the benefits of, you know, being at the center of America. I think it's a lot like the USAID. Like I feel like they're like, fuck that, we're not helping. And if you want, like, we're just gonna like not protect you or we're gonna come after you. Like I think we're just moving to a much more like strongman version of diplomacy.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, even with the South Korea deal and the true
Yeah,
social
this is
credit,
new to me. Like, so
he
we
talks about
reached
like
up.
South Korea paying for military assistance, U.S. military assistance.
Okay.
And I mean, in some sense, he's not wrong. Like, why are U.S. tax dollars like basically funding the conflict, in my opinion? right? Like you were funding the South Korean military, not only ostensibly to fight off an attack from North Korea, but it's really to build up defenses against China.
Yeah, we have a lot of like tiny regional partners, right?
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
like South Korea. Is South Korea part of AUKUS?
I have no idea.
Anyways, I don't know, but just yeah, that part of Asia.
AUKUS
Uh,
isn't real.
AUKUS is
AUKUS is
dry
fake.
land's a myth. AUKUS is a myth.
Um,
That was a lie that Biden perpetuated. No one cares.
to be fair, I had not heard about it until Sleepy Joe, Scranton
Oh,
Joe.
that is not
But I mean, this
He
who I
never.
thought.
sorry,
It's
just to harp on
Australia,
the
UK, US. Sorry.
the regional partners against China. There's always been much to be made about like the South China Sea and how China's building military installations in the South China Sea. If you ever look at a map of claims to the South China Sea, it's like a fucking bowl of spaghetti, right? Like everybody claims the South China Sea. Vietnam and China. I think Japan might claim part of the South China Sea. Indonesia does. Thailand. Everybody claims the South China Sea.
The South America Sea. That doesn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah.
The
I
South.
misspoke. I
Well,
misspoke.
China already claimed it with the South China. Oh, well, what's its name, Dan? What do we call it, Dan? It's the
Yeah, I
South
mean,
China
that's
Sea.
got to be U.S. propaganda that has just been adopted.
It yeah,
Actually, I
I've
feel like
seen
that's
some
probably
stuff
like
like
from
that.
the whatever I forgot the differential. The is it the one China policy where we're deferential to China's connection with Taiwan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like we just yeah, here I see. Yeah, this reminds me of kind of the claims on the not the Arctic or the Antarctic, the North Pole. Like
oh yeah,
how now that everything's like thawing, everyone's like, there's oil in them there. Uh,
yeah.
so like, which I'm sure, right? Everyone agrees that's like why we want Greenland, right? It's just to have more territorial claim over the
I think
resources
they've
in the
openly
North.
said it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He just said that. He was like, they have stuff. We want it.
yeah. Uh, I don't know. I find the whole economic thing interesting. I like watching videos on it, but unfortunately, is a little above my head.
Wait,
But
so
it does seem somewhat intuitive that like these things it just was his pro again, I think we've said it here, but like Trump does say a lot of things that are true and make sense, but his execution is so bad.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and it might just be like everything else is that he's doing right now. It's just a money grab, you know. I like the market hasn't fully crashed yet. It could still. I think probably it's staying up right now because people are trying to call his bluff. It feels like of everything he's ever done, he's not bluffing. He really, if he's ideological about anything, seems to be tariffs. He fucking loves tariffs. And he's finally doing it. Um, but yeah, this is, I mean, like everything he does, this is gonna hit working class people really, really hard. And then, rich investors are probably going to buy up all the stocks that these people, these panicans, sell off.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's going to cause trouble for America that it just won't cause China, by the way. China,
Oh
the
yeah.
CCP, the CCP runs its own bank. It doesn't have a Federal Reserve. So they can adjust their interest rates and all of that. So like the working class in China, the middle class in China is not going to feel it in the same
That
way
is
because
interesting.
because they control, they
Yeah.
control how much their currency is worth and everything. Um, so
Our
whatever.
our economic terrorist agenda isn't going to work there the way it does in other
No,
places.
the same way it didn't fucking work in Russia in a different way. By the way, that was one thing that I thought was really funny of, the Dems just perpetually being unable to talk about anything but Russiagate and Trump being a Russian puppet is like when the tariffs came out, everyone's like, 0% on Russia. very
What
curious, and it
was
was
it actually
like
0% on Russia, or is that just
Yeah.
something people started saying?
there's no trade agreement with Russia. They're in a proxy war. Like they
We
have
don't trade
full
with them
set.
at all?
I mean,
Nothing.
not in any meaningful way. And like under Biden, like since the invasion of Ukraine, it's like the amount of sanctions they've done. Like, what would they tariff them on? Yeah,
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
no.
can the
They're
tariffs get
not
higher on
trading.
Russia, I guess?
Well, they don't need
I
tariffs.
guess
They
they
have
don't even
sanctions.
exist. Yeah, because
Yeah, they have sanctions on them. Tariff what? There's nothing.
Yeah, I
They're
wasn't
not taking
sure
anything.
if we do absolute like, so we just don't trade with nothing comes in from Russia. That's like kind of shocking. Although it does. I remember that was like a huge thing, like boycotting uh Russia. I remember like McDonald's having to like shut down operations there, but then they just kind of like set up a shell company called like McDonald's, and then
yeah, yeah.
it's like the like Fanta like is the famous example during World War II. Coca-Cola, we like sanctioned Germany or whatever, and Coca-Cola is like, okay, this is Fanta now, and they just kept making money under a different name.
Um,
Yeah.
again, no. I have to stop saying this phrase. Ideological counterpoint to the tariffs. Just that they're bad.
Yeah, I mean, anybody
They unequivocally are.
anybody
Yeah.
yeah, anybody coming from like a good faith argument, it seems, is saying that this is a disaster. Like even people who are on the right and like Trump, like anybody making a good faith argument is like this is an unmitigated disaster. Um, and
I mean, he lost Bill
yeah,
Ackman.
lost Bill
I
Ackman.
have his tweet. I have his tweet up, dude. I wanted to read a part of it
Read it.
because
Yeah.
it's pretty damning. Bill Ackman, and there's this other clip I would like to play, but I don't think I have it handy. Let's see. Should I just read the whole thing? It's a little long.
Yeah.
Sure.
Uh, the country is 100% behind the president on fixing a global system of tariffs that has been disadvantaged by the country, that has disadvantaged the country, but business is a confidence game, and confidence depends on trust. President Donald Trump has elevated the tariff issue to the most important geopolitical issue in the world, and he has gotten everyone's attention. So far, so good. And yes, the other nations have taken advantage of the U.S. by protecting their home industries at the expense of millions of our jobs and economic growth in our country. But by placing massive, disproportionate tariffs on our friends and enemies alike, and thereby launching a global economic war against the whole world at once, we are in the process of destroying confidence in our country as a trading partner, as a place to do business, and as a market to invest capital. The president has an opportunity to call a 90-day timeout, negotiate and resolve unfair asymmetric tariff deals, and induce trillions of dollars of new investment in our country. Yeah, dude, that sounds like a great idea. I just think we're missing this investment part, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, none of
Um,
this works if you're not going to incentivize,
yeah,
building up the country.
it is kind of yeah. Well, here I'll finish this, but yeah, that is interesting because like the whole most Republicans are like free trade people, so but also there's that like protectionist swing that's kind of happening now. Trillions of dollars of investment in our new country. If, on the other hand, on April 9th, we launch a economic nuclear war on every country in the world, business investment will grind to a halt, consumers will close their wallets and pocketbooks, and we will severely damage our reputation with the rest of the world that will take years and potentially decades to rehabilitate. What CEO and board of directors uh, what CEO and what board of directors will be comfortable making large-term economic commitments in our country in the middle of an economic nuclear war? I don't know. I don't know one of them who will do so. When markets crash, new investment stops. consumers stop spending money, and businesses have no choice but to curtail investments and fire workers. Uh, and it is not just the big companies that will suffer. Small and medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs will experience much greater pain. Most do, most do business, almost no business can pass through an overnight massive increase in costs to their consumers. And that's true even if they have no debt. And unfortunately, there is an even there is a massive amount of leverage in the system. Business is a confidence game. He's just kind of repeating himself at this point. Business is a confidence game. The president is losing the confidence of business leaders around the globe. The consequences of our country, the consequences for our country and millions of our citizens who have supported the president, in particular low-income consumers who are already under a huge amount of economic stress, are going to be severely negative. This is not what we voted for. The president has an opportunity on Monday to call a timeout and have the time to execute on fixing an unfair tariff system. Alternatively, we are heading for a self-induced economic nuclear winter, and we should start hunkering down, make cooler heads prevail. I think he probably could have gone 3 paragraphs shorter, and he needs an editor. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fucking
that
verbose, Bill.
160 character count sounds real good right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
what happened? I thought Twitter they just got rid of the cap, huh?
This I see two outcomes if I'm an investor. Trump remixed the world for the better as a business investor, right? Like I'm compelled to invest after the short-term pain goes. Or I wait Trump out and some more stereotypical elite focused politician steps in and everything goes back to the same and I invest in America again. I mean, I everybody views Trump as unique as an aberration.
Yeah. Not if we get term 3, baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I want to spend 5 seconds on that. No.
We should also talk about the 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 Supreme Court in Wisconsin, that
Oh
election.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that happened.
And then there
That
was
was good.
the protest last Saturday.
Yeah.
Hands off
Um,
NATO protest.
all right, so real quick, Trump third, possibly fourth term. Thumbs up, thumbs down, boys.
As in like it'll happen or I want it. I mean
No, we
it's
want
thumbs up to both. What am I saying?
it.
If somehow we could form that much of like a, hey man, if they can pull it off, good for them. But what it takes to amend the Constitution is just such a high bar.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully they choose to do it lawfully. I mean, I guess if they choose not to, then that's a huge L. I'm
How
not
do you
really
do it
worried about it at this
lawfully?
point. What'd you
I,
say,
I
Dan?
mean, I guess there is an avenue to do that lawfully, but
Yeah, they said that like
hey, if FDR
Vance
can do
could
it, right?
run. If what?
If FDR can run for 4 terms.
No, it's literally why they passed that amendment. They're like, we don't want to do that again.
Wait,
Yeah,
was that
I
after
hope.
FDR?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, yeah. It was a fuck you to FDR. What I hope happens is that they do change that amendment, and then Obama comes out of the woodwork, comes out of retirement, runs against him, and
For
then
one last
loses.
job. Oh, and I think he would. I think he would lose.
I think Obama would lose, and
Yeah.
would be really fun to watch that. That'd be the only, to be fair, or to be clear, that'd be the only part that would be fun about it. But it would be very fun to watch Barack Obama lose to Donald Trump.
The debates would be good.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah.
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 I don't even
The
know if that would be good.
I do Trump is
Trump
still
debates
sharp in
aren't
some. Go ahead though.
He
Yeah,
doesn't have it
well,
anymore.
well, like, yeah, the Trump debates, like 2020 and 2024, they're just not as fun anymore. We're in like we're late stage Trump now,
Yeah.
or mid stage Trump. We don't know. Uh, but I feel like, yeah, he gets the zingers out every now and then. I mean, going back to tariffs, seeing him riff and talking about groceries, eh, beautiful Trump moment.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
this.
if he has props, he's gone into his Gallagher phase though.
When he talks about, yeah, he's talking
Yeah.
about he's just kind of riffing about tariffs, and he's like groceries. Do you remember groceries? Beautiful groceries. There's things in a bag. It's great. That's like literally what he says.
I want to watch
That's
him.
the
I
Trump we
meant to
miss.
see him. Apparently, he had some quite the speech when the Dodgers came to the White House.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was recent. I'll have to. Man, sorry. Just a note on Gallagher. One of the probably the first comedian I ever saw, and you love it as a kid.
Oh, I used to love seeing him on like daytime Comedy Central.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
I had a VHS of him smashing
nice.
watermelons. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
All you want to do as a kid. Wait.
Gallagher goes watermelon.
But
So,
anyway,
go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about
Yeah.
the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. See if you guys had any
Yeah,
thoughts.
could you give us some background?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm gonna Joe, let me just get the names right. Yeah, so Trump invested, I believe, $25 million to win this for the Republicans over Brad Schmile. Uh, right? Yeah, Brad Schmile. And Susan Crawford won. The I don't know if like you have judges really belong to parties, but Musk and the Republicans were supporting Brad Schmile with a $25 million investment from Musk, and the Democrats won with what is her name? Susan Crawford. And what I wanted to talk about is it's happening. You know, the Democrats are looking good by doing nothing.
Is that your
It,
takeaway?
Well,
it's a great to be an opposition party.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Opposition. Yeah. But they don't,
well,
they're like, I guess there's a difference between like local Democrats and congressional Democrats, but Ben, what were you gonna say?
I also felt like that race, at least the way it was portrayed in the media, was it really felt like the first time in the new administration that we got to have like a referendum on Elon Musk
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because he so much made himself like the face of that election. Like it was just like his name was all over it. He was offering money to people and everything. And he really, I think it was just he was getting way too over his own skis of really feeling himself and thinking like, oh, I'm doing Doge, I can do anything. Um,
Yeah.
and making the biggest mistake Elon Musk could possibly make, which is that people like him as a person and putting his face all over that and then really eating shit.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to me like whether it was for the voters, I don't know. I don't care about Wisconsin. It's a fine state. Drunkest state in the union. They're a bunch of drunks, bunch of drunk crowds. But
Weren't they the
We're
reason why we have a 21 older drinking age? Because like people in the Midwest kept like going there and then
I
driving back in the middle of the night and getting in car accidents.
I was gonna say
So
like
now we
we're
have
all
a federal.
Midwestern guys here, and everybody I know from Wisconsin is the heaviest drinker out of the Midwestern
yeah,
states. Easily.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt in that. I'm
what
surprised
was
like
it?
Michigan's probably up there.
NPR did like did an article years ago that was like the 20 drunkest cities in the nation, and like 13 of them were in Wisconsin.
Well,
Love
like
it.
a lot of good colleges there too. So that makes sense. I don't know. Chicago, that's all we did in the winter.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cold, it's dark. I no shade of drinking in the Midwest. I do it too.
Yeah,
But
this isn't a criticism.
no, no, it's an observation. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I feel like that was an interesting thing to me because Elon Musk really made himself the face of it and then ate shit. Um, which also makes me wonder where that leaves him in his place in the administration. Because if there's one thing we know conclusively about Trump is Trump does not like being around losers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lost in this huge way, and that loses you currency immediately with Trump. If you've got your name attached to one loss, you are out the door. So it'll
So
be
surprised
interesting to see what comes from that. I mean, we're not going to already, I feel like we've seen Elon Musk back out of the public eye
Yeah.
after
almost
having that
immediately.
happen,
I
which
heard
Which,
we're all
he's
thankful for.
stepping down from Doge.
Is
yeah.
he? That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that came out like almost immediately after the verdict, which kind of seemed like a demotion. Like
The
you fucking
Yeah.
lost this for us, you're out now, bud.
the weird thing about Trump in this term is that he seems more beholden to his benefactors. Like he's
Yeah,
here
he
with the
absolutely is.
yeah, with Adelson, you really see
Hmm.
anything pro-Israel they want. No problem. You know, I mean, I don't even think they're
Oh yeah.
directing him at this point. He's just doing it on impulse, right? On instinct.
I don't think he would be going as hard on Israel were it not for Miriam Adelson. I
Yeah.
mean, he's very clearly not
Can you guys
like
remind
an
me who
I
that is?
an Miriam Adelson is the late Sheldon Adelson's wife, so she's this Jewish billionaire. She became a billionaire by inheriting Sheldon Adelson's
You know,
fortune.
real estate mogul, maybe in
Real,
Vegas,
yeah,
right?
Okay. So
yeah,
she's a mega
yeah, and sh
donor.
Yeah, mega.
yes, yeah, and she footed a lot of the bill for this last election, and she is a one issue person, and her issue is Israel.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't think we would see him going as hard on Israel as he is were it not for that. That feels, even though he did it in his first term as well, but like it's just so it goes against what I've come to expect from him of, even though he's a piece of shit, he has really good political instincts, and none of what he's doing with the Israel policy is really politically beneficial to him.
Hmm.
Normally I feel like he has the instinct of when to wrap things up. And he knew they needed to wrap that up under Biden, but then he stopped all that and hit the gas pedal on it. And I think that directly comes from Miriam Adelson. And then the same thing with Musk. I think letting Musk be so much in the driver's seat for this, I think is because he owed him a ton of money. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, it's weird in this one with Trump. We were talking about this on the last episode. I feel like he's kind of checked out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how involved he is on day to day
I think he does
anything.
see it just to like put incentives in place. I think he does see like a massive opportunity and I don't know whether it's you said like investing in Gaza, but I think just having deals with anyone in that region after his presidency, his kids' legacy,
Yeah.
Kushner going around, shopping around, getting like the opportunity to become like an investor or
Yeah,
money
but
manager for.
that's assuming he likes his kids, which
Uh,
I don't know if I have a hard time buying that.
and I would say it's like lame duck presidency stuff too. Like he doesn't really have to worry about reelection. And I mean, shit,
Yeah.
honestly, I think he could do whatever he wants and doesn't have to worry about reelection, even if he wants a third term. Um, I think that like propaganda wheel could spin anything for him, and
Mhm.
justify just about anything, including like a totally unsolicited war. Like he probably has the power to go and be like, we're going back to Iraq, baby. We're gonna finish the job. And
Yeah.
I think there'd be enough
Yeah.
like going from where we were, where the whole country is unified, but like that was really fucking stupid. I think like half the country could be like, we just gotta trust him, you know? I mean, it does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of incredible he's not being even more of a dictator than he is,
Yeah.
going by the mandate that he has from his supporters. He has complete carte blanche to do anything he wants. I mean, obviously you never expect these people to care about, Palestine protesters or free speech when it's not, saying the N-word. But like the the amount of the amount of leeway he's given, I feel like he could do fucking anything. And no one's gonna not back him. And the tariffs is showing that, right? Of everyone's like, yeah, more tariffs. Keep it going. I don't own stocks. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it feels like a owning the elite kind of mindset.
Hmm.
And it is in a way, because if you argue for it, be like, dude, he's crashing the economy, you get people coming out and saying like, well, the stock market's not the economy. 80% of Americans don't own any stocks. Like, why do you care about the rich people losing money? I thought you were a populist. And it's like,
Well, yeah, but their
because it fucking
bosses
trickles.
own
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
their
they'll start
bosses
firing
own
people.
stocks. And like, yeah, I hate to tell you, but not every business in the United States has liquid capital. So like, what do you think happens if the stocks plummet? Like people lose their fucking jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a one to one. Like, if the stock market fucking booms, we don't see that reflected in hiring.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not, it doesn't work the other way. But yeah, if people need to cut corners, they're gonna cut people.
Hmm.
Yeah, and those things never go back. This is the
Right.
same thing
It's
that
like
no one
inflation,
seems.
but just
Yeah.
for labor.
It
And
goes to it goes with all of these. The more people take away your money, they're never going to give it back, even if the economy gets better. In the same way that when they take away your rights, you're not going to give them back, right? The Bush administration took away tons of civil liberties. Did Obama reinstate those? No, he didn't. And if a Democrat comes after Donald Trump in 2028, all of these rights that have been rescinded, all of this money that people lost is not going to be given back to them. Okay. So, like, where we're at right now is the best place we're going to be.
yeah,
And
I
Yeah.
think
yeah,
there's, I
like,
think we
there's
could,
no improving, like civil liberties,
the
social welfare, money in working people's pockets is not going to get better than this.
certainly in our lifetime, we've never seen these things happen rapidly, like positively. Things get lost a lot faster than they get gained. I mean, it has happened in history, but it usually comes after a major fucking crisis like a world war.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, like the most dire thing that I think is going to happen is like a hard reset and something
Yeah.
close to a war. So not doesn't even need to be violent. Could be another like, I don't know, economic collapse and blah, like, or a pandemic. I would say something like a pandemic, like a natural disaster. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe a volcano will cause the sky to black out for a couple of years, then we'll have to rethink things. But I really think we're gonna
Yeah.
have a hard reset.
Yeah, and join militias. Uh, listen, get get on the group chat, talk to the boys, go up into the mountains,
Hell yeah.
start training for guerrilla combat, start a militia.
Wolverines! Wolverines!
This is
I'm down.
depressing. Can we talk about the goat Cory Booker
Yeah, I was
fucking
just gonna say like
Yeah, dude.
let's
putting
If
go.
there's one
putting up
man who would
putting up
stand
numbers
for
on the
us,
board?
So I just want to preface with this. My friend and I joke that you know how Cory Booker's like a perpetual bachelor, but like
yeah,
everything he does in
Oh yeah.
politics in Washington, it's like to get laid. So
that's
so
tight.
yeah, this I just can't help but think that like he did this filibuster to impress a lady.
That is some big dick energy, some like stamina. Hey, ladies, check it out. I can go
Yeah,
all night long.
yeah. I did see something kind of related to this that someone posted on Instagram, which is Cory Booker went on Stephen Colbert, I think the following night or something like that this week, whatever. And Colbert starts it out, he goes, "Oh, you weren't up there talking about yourself, but you were up there, talking about the problems with Washington, and you broke Strom Thurmond's previous filibuster record." The audience goes wild. I'm just like, it's like, I mean, I that is a W, yeah, sure, but it's also like if that is your measure for a W, your metric for a win is
Well,
just
yeah, it's a W in the same way that making the world's biggest hoagie is a W. Other than
yeah, yeah,
making the world's biggest hoagie is probably more difficult because that's a Guinness World Record that people actually like want to break.
yeah,
Like,
That'll actually feed people.
I mean, there's nothing. It's funny, but there's actually no. I was saying this to you, Dan, the other day. There's actually nothing to say about this, and I knew there was nothing to say about this because the fact that when we heard about this story of his filibuster, the only thing you heard was that he broke a world record
yeah,
and nothing about the substance of it. And like I know that
Yeah.
by definition, like filibusters aren't substantive, you know? But the fact that they were talking about that and not, some piece of horrible legislation that he
was
was
filibustering.
blocking. Yeah, it
Yeah,
shows you that he was just doing it to put the numbers on the board, right?
Yeah.
And it's just absolute bullshit. And then right after he got done with that, he, voted to send more money to Israel and
Yeah.
and the like. So who gives a fuck? He's going to hell.
He always like I
what
always
was
had a
he
problem with him
filibustering? I
because of
want to know.
his
Sorry, Park.
it wasn't. No, no, it was just a floor speech. There was no bill being like
Yeah.
So
no, it
it
was
was
not.
meaningless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right.
Does that mean it's not a filibuster if he wasn't trying to block something specific? Maybe we should talk to the people at Guinness World Records and see if they can rescind it
Yeah. Oh man.
on, on a technicality.
I
All right.
do like, and I know this is going to be unpopular for you guys, but I do like that he had to physically suffer for this, even though
That's
it's
unpopular for
pointless.
me.
Like I do, well, no, I and sort of gained respect for it. 'Cause I was like, all right, finally, someone's showing me they're willing to fucking suffer. So I'm like, throwing up. They should make every Democrat stand for 24 hours and piss and shit themselves to prove that they're willing to like do what it takes to be in Congress or get the fuck out. If you don't have the physical endurance to do this, and if you're not willing to like humiliate yourself, you're not representing me to your fullest. Get out.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Yeah, I
that.
don't know. It's
They should have been.
aside from the
It's like
aside from
basic
the
training.
pissing and shitting yourself stuff though, like you also have to remember, like I feel like politicians have access to like really, really good Adderall. So like
Oh, no doubt.
how impressive is that really?
Wait, so do you think he pissed and shit himself? You have to, right?
Diaper gate. Diaper gate.
Probably had a probably had some sort of tube system, at least for
Yeah.
pissing.
He
Yeah, I
knew
think a
he.
series of levers and pulleys.
Yeah. You could do like like a colon cleanse or something beforehand to make sure the pipes are clean there. But for pissing.
He claimed he fasted and then didn't drink water for like 20 for like starting the night before or something like that.
Oh, great, Corey. You're basically Gandhi. Fuck him.
Yeah, I never really liked him just because when he speaks, he like does that soft talk that seems so
Hmm.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
self-aggrandizing and like I don't know, it's just annoying as shit.
Uh,
But yeah, what was the yeah, I think you said something else. So yeah, he voted to give Israel money and then he
no, no,
missed
sorry, sorry. He voted. Bernie Sanders put a resolution forward to block arms sales, and he
that's what it
voted
was.
Yep.
against that
Yeah,
legislation.
yeah.
Right.
So I was initially confused because I thought it was like voting to give money, and so I saw the no vote and I thought he was on the right side, but he is not. Um, there was like some really important meeting though that he missed, And
Yeah, there was
what
that.
was it?
Uh, okay, we can trim this conversation for this part, but let me see if I can find it because I think I was the one who did find that. Wait, so yeah, there was sending bill to Israel and then I don't know where it is. There was something else, but I can't find it. Yeah, we'll cut that.
Do you guys want to talk about the hands-off protest?
Yeah,
I don't have
let's
much to
do it.
say about it, but I
Did
like to
any of you
tweet
guys
about it.
go? Which one?
I think you had done a quote tweet of Pelosi showing up to the one in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you want to start off with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew this was bullshit immediately because the advertisements for it were, it's saying hands off XYZ, right? Hands off LGBTQ rights, hands off women, hands off education, and then two conspicuous, one conspicuous addition and one conspicuous omission. The omission, of course, being Gaza,
Mhm.
and the admission, of course, being NATO. Uh, so even before these protests happened, it was like, okay, what are we doing here? Because we're kind of just have this neoliberal posturing of, domestic issues that, yes, are important, but then two other issues that kind of put the lie to the entire project of showing that at its core, this is still a pro-empire, uh, anti-poor people rally, which is, if you're not caring about the massive attack on the First Amendment and civil rights and, brown bodies of people in Gaza, and then also the bodies of people being fucking snatched up by the American Gestapo right now. So you can't talk about Gaza, right? We don't want anything to do with that. And then it's pro-NATO, which, whatever you think about Vladimir Putin and his actions in Ukraine, I mean, you can't really make a great argument uh, that the existence of NATO is a positive thing in the world. And also, it didn't stop that fucking invasion. So what good is it for? Um, so
What, the
yeah,
invasion
from
of Ukraine?
yeah.
Well, they're not in
So
NATO.
I don't know. Yeah, they're not serving as a deterrent. Uh, I don't know. It's, there were massive rallies apparently. Obviously, I'm not in the States, so I didn't get to go to it, but it's also very telling, I think, whenever you see a protest that is that general. It's just like we're kind of here to express our discontent with basically Trump and Musk, right? Um, because people want to say billionaires, but they can't say billionaires because there's good billionaires. So they have to say Musk because Musk has to be the avatar for money in politics,
Yeah.
and we have to ignore, you know, the Bill Gateses, the George Soroses, the Bill Ackmans, the Miriam Adelsons of the world. I mean, like, if you're going to talk about, you know, I don't know. I'm all over the place with this, but so are those fucking protests. I don't really know what there is to say about it.
Yeah.
And look, a bunch of people got to get together and they got to feel good about themselves. And we got to see all those same stupid fucking posters. The if Kamala had won, we'd be at brunch right now, which, everyone who's still, pulling out that old hit has a special place in hell reserved for them. I don't know. It makes me very angry to think about it. And it's funny. Yeah, so Nancy Pelosi was speaking at it. So
Really?
what are we doing here? That's not a protest movement. I feel like the whole meaning of a protest has gotten completely lost.
Yeah.
Like like people will say they're having pro-Israel protests. How are you going to have a pro-Israel protest? Israel is completely supported by the US government. What are you protesting? And then in the same case with this, if you're not allowed to go, or if you're not going to go for the actual centers of power, then all of this is just fucking theater.
Hmm.
I wrestle with
I
this
agree.
because, well, Park, I want to hear your take.
And also, you can't protest for 40 things at one time, even if they're all good things. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna
That's
say
I
I
complete.
wrestle with this because I agree. I I usually only see the futility in protest. However, I am trying more so to see the point. And so my question to you is to play devil's advocate, would you not have gone if you were living in the States?
To that, no, I would have gone to one of the Gaza protests that was also happening at the same time. Um, no, and also, I think I tweeted about this as well, but it's funny that the line of any protest happening right now has to be George Soros funded, right?
mm,
Yeah.
Which like protest movements like that are backed by billionaires. And again, like hands off looks like it actually what maybe not directly George Soros, but like it was backed by the establishment. We know that because they're not willing to talk about Gaza and they also fucking
mm,
shoehorn in NATO as an issue there. So there's some sort of like deep state backing or you know establishment backing of that. Do I think everybody individually got paid $200? That seems like a bad use of money.
Great Peter
yeah.
Hitchens line is it's really hard to have a spontaneous gathering, to organize a spontaneous gathering, which is true. I mean,
It's
there had to
feasible.
be some kind of funding. I mean, I heard about it. The whole
I
country
didn't
heard
even
about this
hear about it.
protest.
I honestly didn't even. I just started seeing like the videos pop up. Like I don't even know how you learn about these things. I agree with both a lot of what both you guys said. I have mixed feel like before I was pretty like disheartened that there wasn't anything that was seen. It seemed like everyone was just kind of like complicit or just kind of beaten down. They're like, fuck, all right, well, he won this time. Like, we started this whole thing off just talking about how, like, there was no resistance essentially. And then obviously, like, the leadership dims are like dumb and they hold up signs like, false. Like, that's not a protest either. But I generally don't like it when people blow off steam and then feel better about themselves when nothing
Yeah.
systematically has changed. So in that sense, I feel like it's a pressure relief with no positive outcome. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it makes me feel good to see waves of people. I just think we really need someone out there who can harness those people and tear down some fucking buildings, you know? Just like they need to start
Mhm.
bringing in the tanks. We need to give them a reason to bring in the tanks.
You know, we saw with the socialist candidate for New York mayor, I think Zohan or Zoran.
Yeah,
Zoran.
He's
don't
actually, I
don't
mean, he
mess
was at
with
the
them.
barricades, right? But
Hmm.
this protest had Nancy Pelosi speaking, and someone pointed out, and this is petty, but it works that she's wearing I think $600 sneakers at the
Mm.
protest.
Hmm.
Well, this wasn't
I don't expect her to be wearing like fucking Converse, I guess.
was this in
But it's a bad
DC?
look, bad optics.
She was at the DC one?
I think some small town in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have an issue with that argument, but I guess I am going to play favorites with it. Like, I don't care when you're using it against Nancy Pelosi, but it is used a lot for, normal people protesting something. And I think it's a really bullshit argument of like doing the champagne socialist. Uh,
Yeah. They do it to
kind
Greta
of.
Thunberg a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's an issue when it's like, oh, well, you're comfortable in this life, so you shouldn't care about anything ever. And it's like, well, no, that's the same thing they've been using, tried to use with Luigi. Like, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
there's such a thing as class solidarity. Now, it's perfectly fine for you to use that for Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi is comfortable and doesn't care about anything and has zero class solidarity. So I'm not as concerned with her shoes as I am with, the entirety of her being.
Yeah.
But
Should her being at that protest was the costume. The $600
yeah.
sneakers
Yeah.
was the reality of who she is.
Yeah. Well
But
said.
yeah, anybody who actually, who actually has a true left-wing agenda and actually wants to see real change, if you see Nancy Pelosi show up at the protest you're at, you should have left immediately.
Hmm.
Yeah, it goes back to the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Like Dems again, it's great to be oppositional party. You can just look great because the ruling party looks
Hmm.
terrible.
Yeah.
To talk about that again, like, do you guys think like it was so successful, not just as a reaction to Musk and people's dislike of Musk, or was it just like one of those phenomenons that were like Democrats do better in off-season things because just Republicans only show up for like the main guy, the big guy. It's probably a combination of the two, but I saw one of those like they look like wind chart map graphs, and like the entire state went left
Hmm.
of where they had voted in the 2024 election.
Yeah,
So
I would say again, just conjecture, but that the Trump phenomenon has changed that perception that only Republicans would show up on the off like congressional like what is it historically Republicans show up more to midterms, right?
oh, is that
Hmm.
is that the way it was? So it's flipped now?
I don't know. I mean, maybe
Okay.
I
Well,
think a lot of that
there
has
wasn't
changed.
a red wave when they predicted one, and then there
Yeah.
was kind of a blue wave in whatever year that was. Um, I don't know. I wonder if like the Democrats now are feeling themselves and are gonna again go to like, so we just need to ride this out, not do anything, and then wait until people are so sick of Trump and we'll be back in office, which was their
I think
2020.
that's I think that's still the plan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then, try to put all of our effort into taking out people like Zoran.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are they
they'll
doing a
fight
hit
as much
job
as
on him?
yeah, they're bringing out the big guns, trying to run fucking Andrew Cuomo against him.
Yeah.
That that's actually moving forward.
I don't know.
Well, Cuomo would win probably though. Honestly, just name
Yeah.
recognition. He'd get well, conservatives in New York fucking hate him.
Well, I mean, I think as of late March, he was point at the highest.
I mean, it
I
makes
mean, but
sense, but it's just
the
also,
election's in November, so much can happen.
are they doing ranked choice again?
I have
Is that
no
just
idea.
I think so. All right, Trump's third, fourth term, hands off protests, Cory Booker. Did we talk about? Okay, before we get into that, Russell Brand, fucking another one.
I actually haven't read on this, so you guys will have to
Damn,
get me.
dude. This political hit job against actually dude, I'm not even gonna fake associate with Russell Brand. He's so lame. I'll do it for Andrew Tate, but I'm not doing this
Uh,
for Russell Brand.
so what is it? Rape and sexual assault charges have finally been brought against Russell Brand from here in the UK. Russell has been hanging out in Florida. Uh, One can only assume his next stop is going to be Tel Aviv, the last safe place for both Jews and sexual predators and rapists. Uh,
Jeez.
I knew there
Woo!
was something coming out. I knew there was something coming out. He did a video a couple weeks ago where he's like, you know what? I actually believe the Jews do deserve a state. And I was like, he's about to go down. Like charges are coming.
Oh
Um,
my God,
yeah,
really?
I think
Wow.
yeah, I think
Wow.
this is I think just the funny thing about this is I mean, like with all these guys, it's you know, a lot of what we talk about. Usually it's the reaction to the news is more interesting and fun to me these days than the news itself. And the big reaction from yeah, like you know the MAGA crowd, right-wing Twitter reactionaries of the like has all been like, yeah, as soon as some, you know, they lump everybody in together, right? Like Marine Le Pen is the same as Andrew Tate and Russell Brand. Like
Damn.
it's the
Yeah.
same thing happening to both of them. And like it's like, yep, as soon as someone starts speaking out against, you know, against the deep state, that's when they go down. And like I love that they're doing that for Russell Brand, you know. It's like oh these charges coming out of nowhere. Yeah, these charges coming out of nowhere about facts then that have been of public record for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like this has been uh a known fact about Russell Brand way before he became an evangelical Christian or before he started leaning more MAGA or becoming now a Zionist, back when he was like an avowed leftist. So it was always coming.
Yeah, his political change happened quite quick.
Shockingly quick, but anyone can be saved at any time, Dan.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that I didn't know honestly. Well, I'm not really that much up on pop culture, but I didn't know about like the sexual allegation stuff until after like he always gave off guru vibes, but now
Uh,
he's like
okay.
that like saved guru.
Yeah.
Um, Even
Oh,
like his roles in movies, he's just fucking weird. So I don't know.
can
Good
I
riddance.
can I throw this in? City was just telling me he just did like a post today where he said that he doesn't believe in statutes of limitations. S-
Statues.
Statutes.
Oh, okay. I thought he
Yeah.
mispronounced. Well,
No,
that
no.
doesn't
I mean,
hurt.
is
That doesn't
everything.
help him, right?
Yeah, well, no, I think it's just like trying to have bona fides about it. Like he's not going to try and hide behind the statute of limitations laws.
Oh,
He's, you
okay.
know,
Oh, all right.
refuting
All
that it
right.
would never, you know, that it never happened.
Got it.
Um,
That's well, it's an English charge, right? It happened in England.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw they had much more like definitions around. It was like sexual assault, rape, and or oral rape or something like that. And that like caught me off guard because I'd never heard that last one. Um, but yeah, fuck him. What's he gonna go to
I'm
jail
not.
for ever? Oh,
No,
guys,
he's going to Tel Aviv. I told you. He's gonna
that's a
move.
different type of prison.
He's gonna move.
Uh,
Uh,
it
Self-made
was,
hell.
speaking of presidents, should we talk about the guy sent to El Salvador?
yeah.
That can be
Oh
Um,
God,
our
yeah,
last topic.
sure.
yeah.
Well, we've covered quite a lot. I'm happy with the way that we've done this today.
Yep.
Does anyone have like a good rundown of it? I just know the high level.
To be honest with you, I meant to read on it before we got on.
Okay.
So yeah, if you could just get back,
Um,
well, that's fine.
could you remind me of his name?
Maybe we should pull some up. Uh, was it Delaware?
That's the first name.
Delaware
Hold on.
Jones. Actually, is a pretty cool first name. I mean, sent to Venezuela. It was Maryland, whatever, New England state.
Okay. Yeah. All right, I got it. Uh, yeah. So, a man by the name of Francisco Javier Garcia Cacique. a 24-year-old Venezuelan barber, was deported from the United States to El Salvador under the Trump administration's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. Despite having no criminal record or proven gang affiliations, Garcia was among 238 individuals sent to El Salvador's Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, a maximum security prison. Sunday night during session. Yeah, so basically, this guy, Garcia, he sought asylum in the US in 2023, but was detained due to concerns over his tattoos, which included the word peace and family names. His mother emphasized that these tattoos were personal and not indicative of gang ties. Um, yeah, so where do we want to go from there? I mean, he's the first, I guess, case that has just been basically proven dead to rights. He's completely innocent, right?
Yeah.
But we can guarantee he's not the only one. I'm willing to bet at this point, um, his case is more the majority than the minority of people basically getting, yeah, nabbed up and sent to this, fucking absolute horror house in El Salvador. Yeah, he's a young guy. He had tattoos, which seems to be the main metric that they're using. There was the case of that other Venezuelan football player who was like yeah, he was a professional goalkeeper and had like a crown. Apparently, that's a big thing they're using is tattoos of people with tattoos of crowns, which has also come out that Tren de la Ragua does not
Yeah.
have crown tattoos in its tattoo iconography at all. So it's just an absolute, I don't know. It's probably just dumbass like ICE people being like, there's a crown, Latin kings, Tren de la Ragua, right? I mean, that's probably the amount
Yeah.
of thought process that goes into it, if there's any at all.
Yeah, you're so right. And
And
that's really painfully seen.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really this one. This guy's gotten the most attention out of everybody. Um,
Didn't
like
they this all came to light because of Chrissy Noem's like photo op, right? Like they saw
yeah,
him in the background
Wait,
and
that's
otherwise
why.
they will I could be making that up, but that's one of the stories I heard is that they didn't know where he went, that he just got taken and then like the wife found him or saw him in the photos and they're like, "Oh, he's in."
mhm.
Uh,
I
uh,
doubt there's much bookkeeping and accounting on what they do with these people. It seems like kind of a black op operation to some degree.
what I find crazy is that the Supreme Court just issued that the administration does not have to bring this father back yet because and they're via Chief Justice Roberts and their argument is that it was the initial request to bring the father back was based on a lower court ruling and that lower court ruling would violate basically the Supreme Court's federal mandate to rein in executive power. So again, this father has to just stay in an El Salvadorian torture chamber until this is resolved. I just found it crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
I clearly
and
understand the
there's
reasoning behind the argument. I just to not have a more conclusive ruling afterwards,
yeah.
it shows
I-
like complicity by, I guess, omission.
You're talking about yesterday, Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily blocking a judge's order directing the U.S. to return him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a little weird.
and what evidence do we have that El Salvador would send him back, even with an order? I mean, yeah, all of this is crazy, and it should be so much of a bigger deal. We were talking about Mahmoud Khalil's case and others like him with Palestine protesters. And this is, cut from the same cloth of this as when you strip away these rights of due process, then nothing else really matters. Like, yeah, this guy was here, or this guy was in the States under asylum, but he didn't get due process. So what that means is the next thing is this happening to American citizens.
Yep.
Because if there's no due process, then citizenship is meaningless.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like if you can't prove your asylum is real, you can't prove that your green card is legitimate, you can't prove that you're actually a US citizen, and none of this matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been down that hole online of just watching people get like picked up, and it's fucking terrifying.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, there was this one guy, this one video I saw of someone's the cop like ICE, not the cops. I guess they're all cops, but like prying his door open, like, and
Hmm.
I kind of get down this rabbit hole all the time, where it's just like local police and like has nothing to do with immigration, but just cops overstepping their bounds, violating the Fourth Amendment, coming inside the house without a warrant, uh, without a properly like signed warrant by a judge,
Hmm.
and we've slowly been allowing the police to become more authoritarian and like I mean it definitely became like a culture war issue too, where it's like you don't support
Hmm.
the police, blah blah blah. And so now if you question the police, you're a far left lunatic, and like there's half the country that's like gonna support the police no matter what. I
Yeah.
mean maybe
Well,
40%, whatever.
and there isn't even a veneer of the, the idea of punishment for getting it wrong. Because
Yeah.
now you have like Pam Bondi being like, okay, well, we did that was wrong, but it's in service of this greater good. And if people, a few of the wrong, a few good apples get caught up in the dragnet with the rest of them, that's all right, because it's in service of this other greater thing. Um, and where does that stop? Where, where
Yeah.
where where does that stop? How there's no policing this at all, because there's no punishment for it. There's no checks and balances on it. And yeah, exactly. This is this is what uh, this is what fascism is. It's not just Hitler. It's the Gestapo as well. So it's like not just Trump can, like we were talking about earlier. Trump gets a free pass on absolutely everything right now, and because of that, so does ICE, so does DOJ, so does your local cop. Like
Hmm.
how quickly, I mean, and cops and ICE have been acting with impunity without this.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people understand how bad this is going to get over the next few years. I mean, look how bad it's already been.
I'm definitely gonna arm myself,
You
honestly.
should.
Yeah.
Everyone should. Yeah.
Dan, you got some rifles up there?
Massachusetts is a very blue state.
Oh
So
yeah, I forgot about that. Well, you're out in the country, dude. You're on a
yeah,
farm.
no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna go out like Bill, what's that guy's name? That conspiracy theorist. Uh you sent him to me once.
Who's you?
The reason I started this doing this podcast with you is just so I have a living will. This way the government can't put
Yeah.
like fake word. This is my manifesto.
Yeah, yeah. I was just looking up Eamon Bundy. You guys remember that standoff?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
God, yeah.
He was very pro George Floyd, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty crazy actually.
Well,
Um,
my brother lives out in Idaho, and apparently Aiden Bundy is like a fairly common nuisance that they'll just show up and like do performative protests. Like if there's a protest about something else, like a teachers union or something, like Aiden Bundy and his crew will just
Hell
show up
yeah.
and hijack it. And yeah, my brother was complaining about it
Oh, they'll
Like,
take it over. They won't like support
yeah.
them. They'll like
No,
that's
no, they'll
fucking
just
lame.
come up. They'll just show up and talk about their own thing and like block traffic and stuff. So it's like a nuisance
That's
I
hilarious.
actually,
for locals in Boise. I was asking my brother, I was like, what are they protesting? He's like, nothing. They're just there to like cause a stir. My
but we
brother's
need
pretty
more of
convinced that
that
Eamon, yeah, he's pretty convinced that Eamon Bundy is some kind of like psyop.
because that's the deepest cover you could possibly
Love
fucking
it.
be. Having a shootout, your brother dies by running from the FBI, or did he? Or did he?
Yeah.
Did
William Cooper, Bill Cooper is who I was talking about. He was like Alex Jones before Alex Jones. He
Oh
actually
yeah,
called
that's
Alex
right.
Jones a, CIA
That's
asset.
right.
Um,
Rest in peace.
RIP. Now he also died in a shootout with the cops. Honestly, it's the way every man should go. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't get
Yeah.
taken down by the law, you're a fucking pussy, incel bitch.
Hey, I mean, this is how we know Alex Jones has gone to the dark side now. He's just simping for Trump and Elon Musk and stuff. So if he wasn't a CIA asset back then, he's been captured, you know?
Yeah.
So you either die a Bill Cooper or you live long enough to see yourself become Alex Jones.
That was our episode of Villain for All Seasons, episode 35. This is Andrew.
Dan.
Ben.
Like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Check us out. We're on YouTube. We're soon to be on TikTok, Instagram. We're doing some reels now. Ba 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 ba. Tell people.
Start a militia with your boys.
Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.